episode number 25 of The Witching Hour. I'm Perry Nemiroff, and as always, I'm super happy to be joined by my co-host, Haley Fauch.
Hello.
We have a special guest. This is an extra special guest. I feel like I say that every time we have a guest.
You
but
do.
The guy sitting in this room is super freaking cool, and I have so many stories about him, some that I will never share on this show, but I'm going to share one after I introduce Matt Donato, the king of all horror movie reviews, whether they are big releases or a DVD that you have never heard of in your entire life.
Correct.
That review is coming from that guy right there.
Thank you so much for having me on. I've been listening for a while, and I really wanted to hop on here. So glad I can make it work while I'm in LA for a week.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on something and say that this is not a story podcast. This is not where we share our stories.
Thank you.
This is
I don't
a
need
horror
those.
podcast.
Yeah, I don't need what Perry knows going in public. This is not.
Okay, wait. There's one story worth telling. Because have you ever
right.
heard the
Oh.
story about how we met?
I don't
Because
know.
it is like actually one of the like the most special friend meeting scenarios I've ever had.
Special friend.
Okay, those stories are allowed.
Before the Child Eater feature film ever existed, we had a short film, and that's the movie that we made while we were still in grad school, and it played at the New York Horror Film Festival. And the first review of our short film that came out of that festival was from that guy right there.
Of course it
And he
was.
said,
Of course.
only the nicest things, and it just like we had never seen a review of it before, so it kind of blew our minds. And like after that, it went on to South by and all these great things. But more importantly, that guy right there became one of my best friends in the world. So it's just really weird to think back about that and know that that's where like it all started through horror.
Well, it goes both ways for me too, because I was just writing about some short films, and I was kind of like, oh, maybe someone will read this, maybe somebody won't, and then all of a sudden I have like a DM from you the next day that was like, oh my god, this is the nicest thing ever.
And we're friends and beer pong partners forever.
And then I saw you at a screening though, and I didn't know who you were, so I kind of like saw you at a screening. I'm like, hey, Perry? Like, I'm Matt. And you were like, oh, you're Matt. And like all of a sudden it just clicked like that. So it goes both ways. That was an interesting start to a friendship.
And the rest of the stories will stay in our back pockets forever and ever.
They will be burned and never.
So Matt is here, which is super cool, but something everybody out there knows that I'm going to be thrilled about is the topic of today's episode. Holy shit, I never thought it would happen. It's like, I thought it would happen, but also deep down I didn't think it was going to happen because normally when I want something really bad, it doesn't happen.
I knew between the two of us it was going to happen eventually.
Really?
It just was a matter of the right opportunity.
Because even after having Tony Todd on, where he was like, not like, you know, I haven't heard anything, nothing's happening, I kind of believe that it just wouldn't. And then also, given our discussion with Karn, when I brought up Karn Kusama, when I brought up, you know, just the nature of this, I don't know why I'm like tiptoeing around this. We're talking about Final Destination. They're making, what did they call it, a reimagining?
Yeah,
Oh, is that what they're
we'll
saying
get into
already?
that, yeah.
Something
No.
like that. But they basically announced that this is in the works over at New Line, that we're going to get another Final Destination movie. But what I was getting at with Karn Kusama is just the idea of how to do this idea appropriately in this climate, because why I started to get cold feet with Final Destination, it never took away from my love of the movie, but it was on a recent episode of Mailbag where we were talking about what movie would you take and you would put a holiday spin on it? And the first thing that came to my mind is a holiday-themed Final Destination, but then every single opening disaster that I could imagine felt
God.
like it felt too vicious. And then I
Yeah.
started to apply it to everything. So it's just going to be interesting how the franchise changes given things that happen nowadays. More so than they did back then, at least, sadly.
Yeah, I think that the benefit of Final Destination is that it's sort of apolitical. It's just tragedy strikes. It's not, there's no human actor in it. It is death and tragedy itself coming for people. So I feel that that's
Except
fairly
for the fifth one.
timeless. What do you mean?
The fifth one had a person
oh, yes, right.
try
right.
to.
That is
Actually, the
true.
fifth and the fourth had it.
Yeah. I don't know that would be the right way to go right now.
Not at all. I think you have
Yeah.
to stay with the original Final
Actually, the
Destination.
third one had it too. Now that I'm
Yeah,
now that I'm
they-
running
they
through
all
the
start
entire
playing with
thing.
fate.
I mean, they always have someone who goes a little crazy.
Well, because they want to beat the game.
Yeah.
It's a game against
Yeah,
death.
right.
And someone always wants to.
But
they think they
the
can do
true
it.
villain is always death. It's
Death's
gonna
design.
get you, death.
It's about escaping the fate, and
Yeah.
I mean, I think that can translate. I think it translates no matter what. I'm not too worried about them taking the wrong stance with Final Destination because it's going to be based on the kills. It's going to be based on the outrageous death sequences and that kind of stuff. So
I think what I mean more with this is specifically like tragedies that we in real life see on the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's a natural disaster or something on a mass scale that another human has created, just making sure that whatever the tone of the movie winds up being, that it sticks into, campy slasher zone and never gets too serious where all of a sudden the fun of it is stripped away by the fact that you can't shake off the fact that something could really happen out there. You know what I mean?
Right, definitely. It would not be good if they did like a mining thing, and that would be very tasteless.
Or a Vox Lux thing, or a...
Right.
Exactly.
Well, that was where my head first went when you said that.
That was one of the first things that came to mind.
But that's why they got Dunstan and Melton. I mean, that's going to take care of that pretty quickly.
Hopefully they'll come up with something
The guys
fun.
behind Piranha 3 Double D and Feast and Feast 2, Sloppy Seconds.
Yeah.
I am
And Feast
not
3.
a fan of Piranha 3 Double D. I think that kind of... It was a little bit of a buzzkill, admittedly. I saw the headline and I was super pumped about it, and then I saw the people involved, and it's, I say this all the time, just because somebody makes one movie that I don't like doesn't mean, all of their talent is gone and it's not possible, but I just have a little less faith in them than I would of somebody else.
I actually texted Donato about this.
Like, immediately.
Yeah. He replied to my tweet, and I was like, oh, no, we're getting in it. I'm a little conflicted on them behind it just because their approach to like death scenes, like in Saw and the collection films, just seemed a little nastier and meaner and sadistic than what I tend to think of in terms of Final Destination. But I did like your perspective on it. You saw them in a different light than I do, and I do want to say I love the collector and the collection. So I'm not saying I don't like their movies. But you were very positive on it.
I'm positive on it because I kind of view them as guys that are going back to like 90s era horror, and it was a little sadistic and sick, but like that's half the fun of it. They're just going full force into horror, and they're not trying to like play safe or do anything like that. And the collection is some of the nastiest kills I've ever seen in a slasher film in the last decade plus. That first like giant lawnmower thing that just churns the whole room up. So like I think that if you're going to reboot Final Destination, you have to get two guys that are going to focus on the kills. Dunstan and Melton will do that. Like you just said, they have the Saw background. They have all the Feast stuff they did. Like everything they do gets pretty gruesome and gory.
Yeah.
But they also have this, I will say, a sense of fun about them. I get the sadistic part. I get the dark part. But I still think they have this sense of fun about horror that a lot of other people wouldn't have. Like, give it to Luca Guadagnino and like see what he does. Like, no, Melton and Dunstan are going to have a goddamn blast with this. I mean, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
No, it wouldn't.
I'm just curious. Like, let him design just one kill so I could be able to see what he would do with it.
It's 7 hours long.
Yeah, I'm probably sure that I would be the...
And that's just the opening kill.
We would be the only ones in the theater. Can we go back a little bit? What's like your relationship with the Final Destination franchise? Are you super into it?
I'm super into it.
Okay.
I think it's one of the fun franchises that I would have loved to have seen just every Halloween. Every Halloween get a Final Destination, and I don't care if I'd be 20 films in at this point because, again, you can do each one singularly. It has an idea, which is the first kill sequence that gets avoided. It has people cheating fate. You don't need a jigsaw. You don't need anything like that because it's death. It's inevitable. It's something that we cannot escape, and these characters are just trying to. And it's just like little rats in a maze trying to figure it out. And I don't know. I have a blast with it. Like the whole Rube Goldberg machine, the beginning. Like I love Final Destination 2. I'm going to say that's my favorite. I don't know if I'm allowed to.
I think it's
my favorite.
Okay. All right.
It is not my favorite.
Which is your favorite? Haven't we've spoken about this?
I don't know if we've ranked them officially. I don't know. It's really hard. Like 1, 3, and 5 are all very dear to my heart. I love them so closely that it's hard to pick a favorite. And then it's 2, and then it's obviously 4.
Yeah, I don't even remember. Like I
Wait,
remember
what is
4, but
4?
it's that one. It's just like, oh, the NASCAR one that nobody cares about.
I strongly dislike 4, but I've watched that movie so many times. So many times.
I was going to say good for you, but I'm not sure if I can back that up.
There's something about the idea though that sucks me in, and it's almost like an episodic thing where it's that one kill. Now you got to wait for the next kill, and it's just unfortunate that the fourth one ruins all that by tailoring everything in that movie for 3D, which I never understood, down to freaking scene transitions. Who okayed that idea? That is hands down one of the silliest cinematic things I've ever seen. But anyway, number 1 is 2.
Yeah.
Number 2 is 1. then I go 3, then I go 5, but I love all 4 of those. Love them. And then 4 is as rock bottom as you could possibly get.
Yeah.
We don't talk about 4. We don't have to talk about 4.
It's not welcome in this house.
No,
What a
in this house we
disappointment.
don't. He tweets.
Such a bummer. Have I ever told you my Final Destination 2 story?
I don't know.
I feel like I've told this somewhere before. You might know this. So I saw
I might not
Final
remember
Destination.
it.
This might be why it's my favorite too, because Final Destination 2 I saw before the first one. And I went to see it while it was in the theaters, and I was going on a date. And I was really young at the time, so it was a big deal that I was going on a date where the boy could drive. So it was a blizzard, and I was determined to go on the date, even though it was terrible weather. So we go and see it at a local theater, and by the time we had gotten out, it was like full-blown blizzard. And after seeing the movie and loving the movie and having a wonderful time, who is outside the movie theater waiting for me and my date to escort us home in the bad blizzard? Papa Nems.
Aw, that's
He
nice.
made me get in the car with him, and he followed this guy back to his house to make sure he got there safely.
That's nice.
So I will never forget Final Destination 2 because I love it, and also for that reason.
Oh, good job, Papa Nems.
Oh, man.
I saw the first one with my mom, which is shocking because she does not like horror. But we had a great time, and we both walked out feeling like we were wrung out rags. Like, oh my God, I was so stressed the whole time. Were you so stressed the whole time? She still will watch them, and she does not watch horror.
I don't have any of that with my family. My family
Your
hates horror. They
family's not
think I'm
into horror.
insane. They think every time they walk in, they're like, "What is this movie about?" I'm like, "Oh, it's a dead sushi monster." And they're like, "The hell is wrong with you? Like, where did we go wrong?"
This is
But
not what we
I
raised
can't believe
you
I've
for.
never asked you this, but how did you get into horror? Like, at what point did you realize that, like, this is my genre?
I think it goes back to my relationship with Child's Play, which I will do very quickly. Just the fact that all through my entire childhood, like, Chucky was my villain. I couldn't look at Chucky without, like, kind of having a little panic attack. And that carried, like, maybe into high school. Like, I don't even know. Like, I couldn't do it. And then I finally hit that point of, like, trying to experience new things. And I was like, all right, what am I most afraid of? And I just turned to horror. And I immediately just started watching everything. And, like, it was like a total just flip over. So then I just dove headfirst in, and I never kind of surfaced again.
And I used to watch everything.
And I
Literally
watched every
everything.
damn thing. I watched 120 new release horror movies just last year. And that doesn't account for festival stuff that hasn't released yet.
It's insane. I don't know
my.
how. Like, I was like that when I was in high school, but it's because I was, like, you somehow have magical time when you're a teenager to do these kinds of things. I don't know how you do it. You don't sleep.
I was going to say, I
know
don't
that you
sleep.
don't sleep.
My social
Yeah.
life sucks. And I'm very single, so.
Well, the good thing is the social life folds into the social life
Yes.
of
It
horror
does.
film festivals, where I know for all 3 of us, it's peak.
Yeah.
That's my vacation time, man. It's not a vacation, as we all know,
It's
but
not.
that is my vacation.
Yeah, and I can see why you view it that way.
Oh, yeah. Are you
What's
kidding me?
what's like the craziest, like most bizarre thing you watched last year?
Craziest. Oh, man. I wish you
I
asked me
feel
this
like
earlier.
there's
That could have
there's
been-
like a lot of things that probably go on that list.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think like not released yet though. Climax.
Oh, that was
I
wild.
mean, just what they accomplished with that is so phenomenal. Coming out in March from A24, I think.
Yeah. We saw that together at Fantastic Fest,
Yeah.
and they gave us little sangria shots to
Oh
set
my
the
god,
mood.
that was
Really?
that was a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Weirdest, I would have to look up and I would have to get back to you on
I just want you
because
to like name drop a bizarre title that nobody realizes exists.
Oh my god, you should have given me so much more time on this. Yeah. I will retweet something. I will
Okay.
tweet it at you and you can retweet it, and that's how we'll do this because I have
Deal,
like
but no
30.
guarantees I'll actually watch it.
Oh, I'm gonna be no way.
One thing we did talk about ahead of time. Do you have a favorite Final Destination kill?
I indeed do. Do you guys want to go first? I feel like
No,
Okay,
because
fine.
I have to think of mine.
I
did
indeed
not
have
get
one.
the heads up.
Going back
He
to
texted me. It's his
oh
fault.
yeah, this is my idea because I wanted to hear your guys 100%.
I actually put it in the notes, and it's been in the notes since this morning.
Oh, okay.
Look
I
at
just
the
didn't
notes,
tell-
Haley.
I just didn't tell
throwing
you
Haley under the
about-
bus
I just
immediately
didn't
on
tell
the
her I did
podcast.
that.
So, all right, I will go with mine. It goes back to Final Destination 2 because obviously it's the best one, and it is Timothy Carpenter
Oh,
when he runs and just flicks the pigeons away. Like, just being a kid and just being like, oh yeah, I just went to the dentist. I'm flicking some pigeons away. They all fly away. And then the pigeons trigger a reaction to a plate glass window that is hanging above Timmy. And it gets released. The shot of the plate glass flattening him because they keep the camera on Timmy standing upright. And the plate glass just comes smashing down on him and literally turns him into a pancake. That's one of the most unsettling horror deaths I've ever seen in any horror movie.
Yeah.
That, to me, that is my go-to for, like, mess me up for
Really?
nights. Yeah.
That's a good pick. Because I have a weird reaction to that because you both know how I feel about the dentist. So the entire scene, I'm basically just like squeezing the armrest, freaking out that something terrible is going to happen to him in the dentist. And then he gets out of the dentist. I'm like, oh my God. And then he gets
It
flattened.
gets even way worse.
Yeah.
That is
Did you
way
like
worse than
Final
anything that could have happened in the dentist.
That's so interesting that one really disturbs you. Like it's funnier than anything to me, which I'm a monster. But there are a lot that really disturb me, like the Final Destination 3 tanning booth scene is
Yes.
not acceptable. Wow, that one was always on my goofier list.
For me, it's the fact that, like, you see a child, a human
Fair
child in
enough.
full form, and with one foul smash, literally the body is eviscerated. And to me, it was kind of like, holy crap, like, I don't know, like, 1 minute we're here and the next minute, like, literally
Yeah.
you're a pile of goop. Like, I don't know.
You were more philosophical about it than me.
Yeah, which I'm usually
was
not, so I don't know where
that
this is coming
annoying
from
kid
right
got
now.
Smashed.
That kid deserved that
He
little
was-
shit.
Yeah. But that's cool. What about you, Perry?
I think I have to go with the tanning booth one as well. Because that's...
Oh, that's not my favorite. That's the one I enjoy watching the least.
I think I have to make it my favorite because it's one of the ones that I can't. It's so difficult to talk about horror
I
because
know.
I was about to say it is one of the ones that I enjoy watching least, but that's also not true because I think that's a beautifully well done scene for what we're focusing on there, and just how that it really is. I think one of the most vicious Final Destination kills, but it's also, it speaks to like a real thing that you shouldn't do. You shouldn't over-tan. And also I think about Final Destination all the time when it'll affect like my daily life, where I'll look at like I don't know, a screw that's coming loose, or especially walking in New York City when you see scaffolding or something. Every single time I see something like that, I think about Final Destination. And when I think of all the movies and all the kills, what is one thing that I won't do anymore, largely because of Final Destination, and it's getting a tanning booth.
Yeah.
Like never again in my life. Not that I did it very frequently,
I get
but
you.
when I was in high school, I went in.
I would have considered it like had it not been for Final
Hard
Destination.
no.
I remember when Amy Adams did American Hustle, she was like, I look so good because I did tanning booths. And I was like, no, bitch, I know what can happen.
Oddly
Never.
enough, mine in that scenario of things I can no longer do because of Final Destination is walk under a fire escape ladder.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because that is like my
That's a
number
good
two,
one, too.
honest to God. The guy that just gets impaled
Yeah.
with the fire escape ladder that just smashes down into his eye.
I think for a lot of people, it's got to be driving behind anything with logs. Like,
Oh, yeah.
That's probably got to be the most common one. that
Sometimes
people
I'll
are
still
like,
get
just gonna-
behind the truck with logs just to like mess with my head.
Very
Yeah.
tempting fate. Just what?
That, I mean, really looking at all of the opening sequences, most of them are very, very well
They're
executed.
great, yeah. I love Final Destination 3's. I think the
Oh my
Yeah.
God, the roller coaster.
so
That's
much-
a good one. That's a good one, but nothing will stop me from going on a roller coaster.
no,
No,
uh,
same. I do think a number of my favorite kills are from that movie, though.
From 3?
Yeah, the nail
The nail
gun.
gun's
Oh, the nail
vicious,
gun.
yeah.
That might be my favorite. I like all the really big build-up ones. So, like, I like that one. Or the small build-up, like getting hit by that bus in the first film was
Yeah.
such a shocking moment. That was wonderful. But what's the other?
My second favorite is from the first one, and it's when Val Lewton gets killed. I think that's like a great chain of events, and
Yes.
especially how they work in Devon Sawa's character into that, and it's just every little thing keeps getting progressively worse. And
Yeah.
that's a I find it to be a tough and exhilarating one to watch every single time I see it, which is too many times.
It
that
is
I'm not
one
going
of
to tell you about now.
The more sadistic ones
Yeah.
on the scale. And it's one of my favorite, too. The other one with huge buildup I was trying to remember that I love that's on the goofier side is The Gymnast.
I was just gonna say the
Yeah.
gymnast too.
So-
That
I was
one
just
is
watching it the other day. That is a very visually disturing thing. And
is.
She's like a pretzel at the end of it, just
Yeah.
like broken bones and all that. It's horrifying, honestly.
Yeah.
Femur sticking
Yeah,
right
exactly.
out.
I was arguing with my mom. Is that even possible?
I don't think so.
Really? Because if you're swinging on a bar like that with that much force and you fall the wrong way,
I think it would take a lot more force than that
Yeah?
to do
Yeah.
that to a human
Okay,
body.
so you have more faith in the human body than I do.
I just, it doesn't seem likely.
Also,
I'm
Hollywood.
also-
I mean, Hollywood magic
I'm
is.
for sure not a physics person, so I could be way wrong.
We're just writing about horror movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
I am fully stupid. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But I think it takes more than that. I hope. Oh
I
my
would hope,
God.
yeah. I would
I mean,
hope.
to be fair though, like I keep reading through. I have a list of every death right here. I looked it up before I got
Okay.
here, and I keep finding ones that I remember
Yeah.
immediately, like the mother that gets her
Man with hooks.
Yes, man with hooks. Exactly, decapitated by the elevator.
That's
I love how
good.
they describe one. A guy gets his intestines sucked out through his anus.
Yeah,
for
that's
the, for
not
the
a
ghoul.
favorite.
Yeah, not a favorite. Not a fan of that one.
Not top in my list.
Not really going in pools again after that one. But there are just so many memorable kills, and I think again, like a testament to how good the Final Destination franchise was.
Yeah.
Even at its worst, there were still some insane kills that they threw into, the NASCAR.
The car wash scene in that movie isn't bad either.
The car wash. Okay, that's fair.
I can't think of many others that I'm really impressed by in that.
It's not a big winner.
No,
It's,
no.
It's just the little redheaded stepchild of the
Yeah.
franchise, and we're like, yeah, we can't get rid of you, but we don't love you really.
But even like with Saw, I'll make an argument and I'll say that like the worst Saw movies, I don't find that, I don't enjoy them that much, so I'm not going to rewatch
Yeah.
them. Like you just said, I'll
I
still
know.
rewatch the worst Final
Yeah.
Destination when it's on because it's just a chain of events that kind of go into place, and we don't get that very often
I
anymore.
can't believe how mad that movie makes me, yet I've seen it so many times. It's a problem.
Do you put it on like on purpose, or is it just
no,
on TV?
No.
Okay, that was the other
And this,
part of it.
This
like,
is true of I've never
Yeah.
put it on purposely,
Okay.
but if I am flipping through and it's on, and any Final Destination movie for that matter,
Right.
I stop and I watch. I watch all the way through.
It's that kind of comfort horror. You don't have to think about it. The process is simple. The formula is easy, and you just still have a great time with it.
It's such a genius idea too. When you think about it, and it really I think that's why we're in the position where we already have so many of them, and we're getting more of them, and the three of us want more of them too. It's because the possibilities are really endless. I am kind of hoping that they don't. I don't think they're ever going to do this because I think we're in this time, especially thinking about Child's Play and what they're doing is it's like insert horror franchise 2.0. So I don't think we're ever going to go back to Dark Ages where I thought that was a brilliant idea, especially with everything they had done before. Well, like a period piece horror movie like that, where it takes this modern idea that we've only seen in modern settings and you apply it to way, way back. I thought that was one of the coolest things in the world, but I don't think that's what this movie is going to be.
No.
No, there's no way they do that. They're going to do a straight reboot that, I don't know. Do you even think they use an airplane crash for the
No,
reboot? Or
I don't think they necessarily
That'd be a
mean reboot or reimagining in that sense. I think it's more along the lines of we're going to continue this franchise without being beholden to any of the existing characters. I think they're just going to come up with completely different kills, completely different opening sequences, and they've, as they did in Final Destination 5, they've closed the loop that those characters together were in.
It's silly to me just because it's unnecessary. Like, they're dead. You can just have a thing on the wall that's like, or be like, oh, remember those kids that happened like 10 years ago? And that'll make the old fans happy as well as, I don't know. But that's a nitpick, honestly, as long as they keep the spirit of it. That's what I really care the most. And what alarmed me the most was the phrase reimagining, where I was like, oh, are you going to get too clever with it? Or are they going to try to introduce some weird new structural technique to it? I don't know.
I think it's more because nobody knows how to use any of those words. I really,
Yeah, there's no deciphering between them anymore.
Someone in the industry with I don't know, who's higher up on the ladder or something should just release the definitive definitions of reimagining, reboot. What other terms am I missing now? Reimagining, reboot, remake,
Reboot-quel?
reboot,
Prequel, yeah, like anything like that.
Yeah.
Like that, the new Child's Play, is that a reimagining, a reboot? Like, there's no, they can say whatever they want about it, but
I mean, given the definitions in my brain, I would think that reimagining and reboot can be applicable to Child's Play, just
Fair.
based on what I know of it so far.
Same.
And I think it's too early for Final Destination 2. We have writers announced. That's all we have.
Yeah.
So we don't have a story. We don't know what they're doing yet. They have an idea. They have a little nugget in their brain, and I think they might play it too safe. weirdly enough, and I love Dunstan
Play
and
it
Melton,
safe. How so?
like stay way too rigid to the formula where even it might be an airplane again. I don't know why. I just have
I
this
hope-
weird feeling that like
That would be disappointing.
Yeah.
I would prefer them to veer closer to the formula than like what I was talking about. I don't know. I have this horrible nightmare that they'll be like, wait, flashbacks and like all this unnecessary extras formatting stuff.
Yep.
But going back to a plane crash would be a bummer.
I agree with you 100%. I just don't like it. Reimagining, reboot, just don't even say those words. Just say like we're gonna do another Final Destination. Just do a sequel at this point.
I don't really
know why it
understand
has
why
to be
that wasn't
exactly.
the release to begin with.
Just like you said before, like you don't need a structure there. It's just another Final Destination movie. You don't need to say, "Oh, we're bringing this back, rebooting it." No, you're just making another one.
That's the best part of
Hopefully,
it.
like that will be completely separate.
Did you see Escape Room?
I did.
I have that on the brain because they have the luxury of doing the same exact thing. And,
do.
you know, a mild spoiler here for Escape Room, but they do some setup in that movie to tease future films. And I think that was the weakest part. Whereas if they just kept it the Escape Room and the Escape Room alone, it's almost like the Final Destination effect where they can take that story, that structure, and apply it to any characters and any type of escape room they want. And you have this franchise that's can go on because the creative potential is through the roof. And that's what we have here.
Well, I mean, yeah, I hope they stay simple because I agree the simplicity is the strength of it. I don't think there are many better high concept horror ideas for a franchise that have come out in the last few decades, like that are just so endlessly you can return to them. It's, yeah. I'm nervous, guys. And I'm just, it's my baby child franchise, you know? Like, we all love it so much that it makes me nervous. But I don't want to do that thing where you automatically shift to, like, anxiety over excitement.
Yeah.
Is always
Yeah, there's no reason to hate
It's
this. There's no
difficult.
reason to be worried yet.
Yeah.
Nervous is exactly the thing. I mean, again, huge connection to Child's Play. So the minute they said we're rebooting,
Yeah.
reimagining, I was like, oh, fuck off. Like, no, no. But again, to be fair, if they do it completely different, which it looks like they are, and if they have their own separate idea, I mean, again, everything about loving Mancini and all that stuff and loving the original franchise aside, I still have to be a little like, this is a new movie. I have to give it a
Yeah.
shot here.
I guess it is kind of encouraging when you think about where New Line is at right now, too, with the Conjuring franchise. It's like they clearly built something that moviegoers like with that. And I think that if this had been announced or in play before that franchise existed, maybe I would have been a little trepidatious about that. But the fact that there's people there that really know what they're doing and how to grow a franchise, that at least suggests to me that there's a better chance that we're going to get something that's actually worthwhile rather than let's just like continue to milk this idea for all the money we can get and see what happens.
Yeah, I feel mixed about that because I feel that the Conjuring franchise is really hit and miss in its own right. It does some movies right, does some movies wrong. But what they have over at New Line between The Conjuring and it are very like pop horror movies. I've said this before on the podcast. Like if you want your gritty, crazy horror, you go to A24. But if you want like your crowd pleasing, full seats or butts in the seats horror movies, you go to New Line. And Final Destination is the perfect franchise for that kind of horror.
I do give them a lot of credit for making a big fat mistake with Annabelle and then fixing it. That I think is so encouraging. And
then,
you know,
but we also then just got The Nun.
The Nun,
So,
the Nun
like-
to me was middling. I mean, I see so many story and character flaws in that movie, but I think the atmosphere worked so well that it almost balanced out the experience for me a little.
That
you
was
have
their
lightened up since you first saw it. You
Really?
weren't that
No,
positive on it.
I think my grade might have been just positive. I think I gave it like a B- or a B, something like a 6 out of 10.
I must have you confused with someone else.
I think so.
Yeah.
I have
I
been.
thought you really didn't
I've
like it.
Tilted positive on it since the day I saw it.
Okay, never
Yeah.
mind.
It was their attempt at a B movie. That was them like getting away from the paranormal a little bit and just having fun with like creatures and stuff like that. Because I like The Nun.
You like The Nun
I
too?
B-. Like it's not
Yeah.
great,
Alright.
but like I put my review up and I was like, oh, like, it's probably gonna be a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like one of 5 positive out of like 50 negative. I'm like, oh, well, I'm the asshole then.
I
That's
think
cool.
I'm in there with you. We're assholes
Yeah.
together.
I'm okay with that. But yeah, I think also like you mentioned the Conjuring universe and it's hit and miss. And I mean, I do agree. Annabelle is crap. Annabelle is one of the worst horror movies I've seen in a long time. I also look at the directors at that and I look at the people behind the creative team where, yes, James Wan is a producer on all this stuff, but he's not doing everything on it. You know, a different director has control. So that's where I'm going to be a little curious to see where Final Destination goes. We have the writers. They can be gone in a heartbeat. They could write a script that's terrible, that doesn't get used, and it gets rewritten.
Not to say that they wrote a terrible script,
Right.
but they were attached to do Halloween.
Right, exactly.
That's
They've been attached.
totally
they have
forgot about that.
17 projects they're attached to alone right now.
Yeah.
Aside from the ones that are announced that are actually got picked up. So Dunstan and Melton have plenty of stuff to do, but it doesn't mean that their script is even going to get used. And it's going to come down to who the director is on this. That's what I believe here.
If you had to, I'm going to throw this at you because now it leads that way with the conversation. Who would you pick to direct it?
Yo, give me a Joseph Kahn version of Final Destination. Just
You're
do
really
that.
into Bodied, aren't you?
I'm really into Bodied. I'm
Okay.
really into Detention.
I love Detention.
Dude, show me Torque. Give me a few beers. I'll have a great night.
I like Detention.
That's a funny pick. I wouldn't be mad at seeing that. Although
No.
that would be one that would probably do exactly what I just said I don't want to see.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Just like a ridiculous voiceover and 3 years ago this happened. And just, no. But yes, I would watch that.
I would watch the hell out of
I would
that.
watch the hell out of that. Gosh. You were so quick on the draw there. I don't know.
I would
Who's-
throw Adam Robitel's name in just because of how much I liked Escape Room, but I also want to see him stick with that franchise, which would obviously pose some complications.
Yeah.
But I think I keep comparing Escape Room to Final Destination in terms of story structure and sequel potential, but there's something about the vibe of that movie too, and the thrill and fun of the kills that I think is very reminiscent of how Final Destination movies made me feel. So I think he could be a good pairing.
I could see that. Along the same lines, Christopher Landon, what he did with Happy Death Day, gives me a
What
similar
a good
feeling.
call.
Thank you. I feel
That
so
one,
proud.
that one I really like.
You just looked at me like when you get a good proud look from your parents. I feel like I did good.
That's exactly what I was going for. I'm glad I made that happen.
Yeah, he's got that high concept, fun energy, and I didn't even hate Scouts Guide. So
Well,
I didn't either, actually. I'm with you on that.
I was just thinking about Scouts Guide. I did something, wrote about it or something the other day, and it was making me think of this too when you first brought his name up. It's something about even the color scheme of Scouts Guide.
Yeah.
Like who knows what the setting and what kind of characters we're going to be working with here, but I don't know. There's like visual, like stylistic ways to stick with the same idea, this same core concept, but make it pop like we haven't seen before.
absolutely.
What about like a really high thinking like Justin Benson, Aaron Moorhead, Final Destination?
I'll watch
the most
anything those guys
existential
do.
like Final
Yeah.
Destination possible.
I'd watch that.
Every death involves some like philosophical.
Yeah, I was just thinking before, or when I was writing up the news story, that they could make a Final Destination in the year that it came out, and it would be a period piece now, and that's depressing.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Isn't that crazy to think about?
But you were talking about like the setting and the colors and the tone. That
Yeah.
could be an approach.
I have one more.
Let's hear it.
Yes.
Joe Lynch.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I would put Joe Lynch in
I
there.
can
like
in a
that
heartbeat.
idea.
Having the right energy.
I'm
I was
looking
gonna
at
say, yeah.
now. I'm busy looking at the Channel Zero directors. E.L. Katz could be
Oh.
fun.
That could work.
I think he crushed it with Dream Door, and also I like the vibe of Cheap Thrills, also, which I think is another thing that could suggest he'd be good with this concept.
I see it more from Cheap Thrills than
I was gonna
from-
say, yeah, Cheap Thrills is a.
I'm just using Channel Zero Dream Door to beef up my argument here that he can do serious quality across the board because
I am
he's
trying to
someone
think-
who hasn't missed yet.
Small Crimes. What movie did he do? That Netflix film. I just wasn't a
I
fan.
did forget about that
I
one.
mean,
You're right. You're right.
But again, that has nothing really to do with horror. That was just a thriller thrown out there. So that's not really something I would, I would go Cheap Thrills for him. And yes, that goes right into it. Like people betting on doing terrible things. And
I'm trying to think of some like cool ideas too.
Well, I'm
Even
trying
trying to
to-
picture the characters. It's like what would you want the group of characters to be? Because we've seen every single variety where the
Yeah.
franchise started with a whole bunch of basically like pick 'em off teenagers, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then we got into a group of completely different characters of a completely different age. Then in 3 it went back to kids again.
Real quick, I also want to throw in Coralie Farge, who just did
Oh.
Revenge,
Oh, man.
and I like her style, and I think that could
really,
look really
stylized.
cool.
And those
Yeah.
kills are brutal.
Yeah.
They are quite savage.
So we'll get back to your question, but I wanted to
2
drop
for
her
2.
name.
That's fair. Yeah.
2 for 2.
Thank you very much. Racking up my gold stars on the fridge. I would prefer not to see teenagers, but I think it probably will be. That's like
It's the easiest way.
Yes,
I mean,
a
if you're
safe
going to
bet.
reboot or reimagine it, I
Yeah.
mean, that's where it's going to go. Like, they're not going to go to an old folks' home or something.
Yeah, that would be something else, though, dude.
I think I just planted that in Harry's mind.
You did.
That
did.
would be
Just get a-
depressing, though, man.
Get a lot of like veteran
Would it,
genre
though?
actors.
Could you
Yeah.
imagine if we walked away from a Final Destination movie with something along the lines of a final girl, like a woman in her 80s or something? Not even a final girl, but like just where all of a sudden we're rooting for a hero to save the day, and it's someone who's much older than we're used to seeing in it. Because
but then
really,
if
can you think of any horror movie out there, especially something with like this kind of vibe that features a much older ensemble?
There's a movie called Cockneys vs. Zombies, and it's
Of
about
course you know of
zombies
one.
in a retirement home. And
There's also Bubba Hotep.
But there's also
Hotep.
Bubba Hotep. But like what Cockneys vs. Zombies is, they got a lot of UK. It's a UK film, and they got a lot of UK based, like well-known genre actors
I need to
be
watch
in
this.
this. And they just have a blast, like playing the old age character to a T, but still like fighting zombies. And like they team up with younger kids, obviously. And
Oh,
it's a
Harry
whole fight.
Treadaway's in this.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love Cockneys vs. Zombies. I have a blast with that movie.
I need to watch this movie now.
Yeah, you do. Recommendation number 1 from Matt Donato.
I'll take it.
All
I'll
right.
take it.
Cockneys vs. Zombies.
My only concern with that is, depend on the tone.
Of course it would depend on the
Because,
tone.
Retirement homes are pretty depressing in general,
Yes,
and
they
the
are.
whole vibe is all about death anyway.
Yeah.
And you don't really want to watch sad, frail old people die horribly. It's just sad.
Fair.
So you got to work on your tone, being that the whole franchise is about death is coming for you, and they're like, "Dude, we know."
But that could be could be the way they take
Yeah,
it though. That could be the
maybe.
way they go into it. They just don't give a shit half the time, or like it's them coming to terms with like, well, I don't care anymore. Like, well,
So where would you take it, Haley?
I liked the vibe of 5 with like young professionals. I think that opens up a lot of different age groups, demographics, different locations that you can have your characters at, as opposed to, not that 1 and 3 are the same film or anything, but they do have the same high school feeling, and the locations are fairly predictable in that way. Like, oh, the gym, which I love the scene at the gym. It's hilarious, but of course you're gonna go to the gym. You're at high school, stuff like that. I like that adults take you out into the world more. You can really go anywhere.
High school reunion.
Yeah, hey, that works.
I don't know.
that is like the
That's-
most generic. Not to throw you under the bus or
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
but like
It
that
is-
is the most generic setup
Yeah.
like, possible.
It's pretty
for that.
generic. But I feel like that opening scene needs to be at like, it needs to be a place.
Well, I was thinking
you know?
like a music festival or something.
No, I don't like that.
No.
It really
Alright.
does scare me because and this is part of the problem where everyone knows how obsessed I am with this concept, but then there's certain things that I feel uncomfortable touching. Like, because a
So
music
still a
festival, I
festival,
almost
okay.
compare to
Then
a
yes.
convention,
Okay.
Oh.
which bothers me.
Okay.
But I don't know. I mean, I guess no matter what we come up with, it's going to have a little personal tinge to
Yeah.
someone out there one way or the other.
I mean, when I used to think about it, I would always be in a projection booth at a movie theater, so I was always like, movie theater, do it in a movie
Yeah.
theater. And I still think that would be very cool, but it does get into that, like, is it too meta and winky territory?
well,
I like Meta and Winky though.
Yeah.
the Final Girls did the movie theater
Yeah,
thing
that
as
was
well.
great.
exactly, yeah.
That was great. I don't know. It is tough. It goes back to what you said, like, what tragedy can you do that's not too relevant?
Unfortunately, not many.
It is so
Yes.
sad that we have that conversation, but
I
it's true
know.
at this point.
It is. And it's like,
What about like a fast food restaurant where something goes haywire? There's a lot of potential for like fryers and stuff in there.
And all
That's
different,
Different
aged
age groups.
characters.
yeah.
Okay.
Ooh. Could be like Waiting
That's-
meets Final Destination.
That could be something. And now I'm almost even picturing, I don't know how this would happen by accident, not at the hand of a single person, but because of our interview from last episode, what if it was something along the lines of, like a poisoning type scenario, the dinner table scene at the invitation. If you had some sort of build where by death's design you see, I don't know, rat poison fall over into something and then all of a sudden the food goes out to everybody.
That's interesting.
I love how we're just giving them all these ideas.
Yeah, where is our writer's credit for this when it eventually gets
take
there?
it.
I will say I know something that's like back to the days of me being in high school obsessing over this franchise, reading the IMDb message boards. Something everybody always wanted to see was like a nautical, a ship, something bad happening on the water and like a big cruise ship sinking or something.
That's fair.
That was
would be a
always one of
spectacle
the
piece
top
too.
picks.
That would be great. But I think that's now you have to think about the budget though. Because
well, that's the thing about
Yeah.
these movies. They always had huge budget opening scenes. It's
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
ridiculous.
But would a reimagining have that?
I hope so. You have the money, New Line. Do it right. You know,
That's
give them
what-
$20 million.
But Blumhouse is what's hot right now, and everyone's doing the Blumhouse
Blumhouse
model.
has like come up though. They know their properties. They still keep it tight, but like, you know, Halloween didn't cost $1 million.
No, that's true.
They've grown.
I don't know how substantially though. That the issue is how substantially. And again,
Yeah.
like horror is making money, which is great, but is it still making enough money to justify, spending the big ticket on something like a Final Destination reimagining?
20 mil.
I'm
That's all something like that needs.
I think they can pull off something like the cruise ship on that kind of budget. And also, you use that money for a big opening spectacle, but I don't think we're going to be in a situation where they cast any high-profile
Exactly.
individuals. So then they're
True.
going to have all that money that would have gone to a big cast to play with.
And
but
I think when you do Final Destination, you know what you're greenlighting because like Blumhouse knows what they're greenlighting. They can do Happy Death Day, they can do Get Out and say you get $5 million because they're like high concept ideas that just work with low means. You don't need a lot to pull off the stuff that makes you happy in your head. Whereas it's Final Destination. It comes with built-in need for set pieces.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
in the concept.
especially that first one. I would say that if I had to pick just one thing that I don't want to see them do at all, is I don't want reimagining to be applied to the word or words, I guess, like technology update. I don't want them to play into technology at all. I don't want to see,
AI version.
Oh
of
my
death.
God.
something.
It's the internet.
Well, no, but that's exactly what I'm talking about.
I know, you're so right.
Something
You
like
can't
that.
escape the internet. And it's true, you really can't.
No.
But let's keep it keep
Yeah,
it together.
I just want them to stay as far away from that
Oh,
as
you're
possible.
so
I mean,
right.
Unfriended's doing that though, so I don't think we need.
Yeah.
I don't think Final Destination has to, But then again,
funny.
Child's Play.
And
look
it
at that.
doesn't strike me as Marcus Dunson and Patrick Melton's vibe
No.
to do something like that.
No.
They're more old school, I think. But that's a very good point. I would hate that so much.
I'd walk out. I think I'd walk out immediately.
I don't think anything is going to get me to walk out of whatever the movie turns out
Fair,
to be,
okay,
but
fair
I
point,
understand
yeah.
where you guys are coming from. What about like a Halloween themed maze?
Oh,
Or
haunted
park,
like attraction or something like that.
like a Halloween Horror Nights or something.
I mean, that's my favorite
Well, I
kind of
guess
horror.
that's almost like Hellfest.
I was gonna
But
say
not-
Hellfest,
and-
Bloodfest.
Not to
Bloodfest.
necessarily say that Hellfest, that not that it would be an individual killing other people
Right.
dressed as a character.
And they already did a theme park with the roller coaster,
roller
technically,
coaster.
so I don't
Yeah.
think they
That's
would
a good
double
call.
dip that.
Good call.
Although I would love to see that because again, like Bloodfest, Hellfest, all that Houses Oktoberville.
I still have
like,
to watch Bloodfest, but I know how much you love that one.
Oof.
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on
Oh,
that
boy.
one.
Yeah.
Tony Todd.
Dead silence.
Yeah,
Tony
nope.
Todd.
Tony Todd.
Does Bloodworth come back or does he not?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if I had my way, of course. Do I think he will? No. I mean, listen how he sounded when he
I
just
know.
came in.
Things happen pretty quickly though.
He sounded like this has been a long conversation, and it sounded. You can go listen to the audio to see if you guys get the same vibes that I get. That like the original group of creators was more or less boxed out because he was like, you can ask Jeffrey what happened there, and like that this is more. And then the reboot news coming days after that made me think he must have just heard and was feeling partially salty about it.
But then you go on Twitter and Jeffrey's been pretty
Yeah,
vocal about it, and
But
pretty
it's-
excited about it.
It's his
So
baby. Why wouldn't he?
no,
be?
that's true. It's a good point.
I don't know that.
Yeah,
that's
no.
just
none of us know. I mean,
yeah.
that's the thing.
When
I
I
want to
saw
know everything. It's
yeah,
not
no, me too.
fair.
I know.
his vibes were interesting on the day, and then in the reboot news happened a few days later. I was like, oh, that puts some things into
Yeah.
context.
Another idea that I really don't want to happen that has to do with technology just came to mind. And actually, this could be applied to many of the opening kill sequences if you basically did that kill sequence 2.0, smart cars.
Oh God.
Smart cars going haywire. So they would basically have a whole new iteration of Final Destination movies, but I don't know. It would be smart cars for 2, like a VR malfunction for 3. Where are we at here?
VR. Oh my god, a VR malfunction could be
That could be pretty trippy.
Really
though.
good.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Really?
Yeah, not So, like, not in the sense that VR has anything to do with death coming for you, but just as the opening setup, I could see that being pretty insane. I'm not mad at that, actually.
Okay. I'm glad something good came out of bringing that up.
Technology.
Yeah.
Or now I'm going through like
I love how your mind is
like
just
the
like
Rolodex.
clicking on this. Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible how many hours of my life I've spent just like casually thinking about it as I walk around, and now we actually finally have a reason to talk about it
know.
again. I did really think that it was going to be that endless cycle of like, will they, won't they? They have this property that they know they can bring back anytime they want and make some good money. But it would continue that conversation and never actually push it forward. So I'm just really curious to see what the timeline winds up being now. Because like, as you said, they've got writers. Anything can change. They can deliver a script that they don't like. They could deliver a script that would require polishing. They have to hire a director. I do wonder if this is something that they are looking to, maybe not necessarily traditionally fast track, but at least they're prioritizing it. And I imagine they would be.
My guess, again, fully guessing, I know nothing. I'm very, very stupid. I'm just saying from my guess that next year is the 20th anniversary, and the timing is probably not a coincidence.
Also, question: do you think Escape Room succeeding as well as it did fast track that immediately as well?
Possibly.
I could see that.
Also, that brings in my class reunion, and it should be a 20th class reunion. And you play into the meta idea of it being the 20th
What if it's
anniversary
the
of the
20th anniversary
franchise.
of a film coming back? No,
Oh,
Purdy.
no. Now it's Scream 3.
Oh,
Leave Scream
isn't
3
that bad?
alone.
Yeah. What's wrong with being a Scream 3?
It's
Well,
just
I mean,
Not
like,
I would
it's
set
just-
the bar a little
it's different.
higher.
all right.
It's just different.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's-
I can't wait to hear a freaking logline for this thing.
I have a feeling that they're gonna, for the reasons we just said, move quicker than
Yeah.
slower if they can get a script they like.
Yeah. I would really hope so.
And it seems like something they probably had in mind for a while, given how big horror is right now, and how, like we said with The Conjuring and It, how much success they've had in recent years. I would bet they went through their little Rolodex of what we have in IP and went, oh, hey, this one's right about due.
I'm surprised that hadn't come up before, though. Because I
I'm
feel
sure
like
it had.
the
Yeah.
studios...
I'm sure it came up.
So, like, so do you think that they've commissioned other writers to write ideas that just never broke out from the trades, or
Maybe it never got that far, but I'm sure it's come
They
up
just
in,
had people
like,
pitch.
brainstorming meetings
Yeah.
and stuff.
I mean, I think it is. You have a good point with the 20th anniversary. I think it is a thing of like, hey, when should we do this? Like, they're just like literally holding on to that ticket, just going like, should we do this now? Like, when
And like,
cash
boy,
it in.
Halloween just did great on their 40th anniversary.
Exactly.
I mean, a 20th anniversary thing sounds like a blast to me, also because I picture the movie coming out, and I would 100% go to a Final Destination marathon, including 4, and watch them all straight through to the new one.
Oh,
bless
absolutely.
you.
I would do
do
it.
it. I would do it.
So not my vibe, but I love you guys.
But that's a day at a
I
film
do
festival,
that
though.
like at home.
We do that at Fantastic Fest. We see 5 movies in a row.
Yeah.
Another story
These
question.
ones you don't have to write about even. That'd be even better.
We can be even drunker.
and then the last one comes and we go, oh shit, we have to write about this one.
You should totally curate a drinking menu for this too.
Oh my gosh.
You let me do it. You know,
You-
I do my drinking games on Dread
Yeah,
Central.
you
so
probably could. The other question I had pertaining to story for you guys is just the idea of death's design, because we never really, as franchises go along, the thing that you tend to see is them explaining away an idea to the point that it loses loses the magic, loses
Here's how
the
the
scare.
xenomorph was made.
Do we have
Had to go
any?
there.
Do we run any risk of them over-explaining death's design and how to beat it and adding another piece to that puzzle, or do we just leave it as is?
I would prefer that they leave it as is, but
Simple.
I think that's so hard for people to resist, to be like, yes, but I can make it clever.
they want to put their mark
do
on
you
it.
run the
Yeah.
risk where it continues? Because at this point in time, I would say beating death's design feels impossible to me.
Yeah.
Is that okay to
That's
keep
pretty
that up?
canon in life, actually. That's,
It's true,
That's been
it's
proven
true.
years and years again.
But without throwing in like another piece,
No,
like
yeah.
another tool in the toolbox in a way.
I agree with Haley. I hope they don't. But, every writer wants to put their mark on something and their spin on something, and they want to be the ones to crack the code. So, do Dunstan and Melton try? I don't think they do, judging based on their previous films. But that's not to say they might not try.
And I think that the reason why the franchise really works is because you can't beat Death's design. And as you said, that's because it's the way it is in real life. And that keeps it scary when it's 10 years later in the franchise and you're like, oh shit, remember Clear Rivers? Boy, she tried.
Yep.
Is trying enough? I'm genuinely curious because you guys know, of all people, I am not someone who loses interest in this franchise and this idea whatsoever.
No.
But when you think about it, it's been 5 films now where I sat there and I rooted for the characters to outrun death, and it never happens.
Yeah.
Gee. Wonder how that happened.
I'm like the hamster in the wheel that'll just keep going, knowing that I'm going nowhere, I guess.
I don't think they'll start here in letting a character survive and like actually win in the sense of like beating the game.
It could be like the end of Final Destination 1, where it's like two of them technically survived that film, but the scene also shows you that it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Or the end scene.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to have to wrap this up soon, and I want to give Matt our favorite end question
of
because
course.
he's got so many things that
he's
he's
a
probably
perfect
seen,
person
watched,
to ask.
etc.
boy.
If you had to pick one thing to happen in this new Final Destination movie, whether it is a director of your choice, someone cast in the movie, a story component, what would you want to see happen in this above all else? Pressure's on.
I would want to see. I would want to see a script that hinges to the original, like I said, without getting too clever about it. That's number one to me, and then a director that can bring it home.
I'm going to go with like engaging characters because I'm going to do Escape Room really quick. It's a cast of people that you don't really think to be in a horror movie, but people like Tyler Labine absolutely destroyed that role. He did such a good job in Escape Room, and it made the actual plot and the escape itself that much more engaging. So I just hope that, I agree, they're not going to have the budget for a big cast, big names and all that stuff. So I just hope that they are able to pull together the same kind of chemistry of something like Escape Room.
I like everything you both just said, and I'll throw in, I want them to hit that right balance between groundedness and camp again, because one of my favorite qualities of the Final Destination franchise is that I walk out into the street and I look at the fire escape ladders. I think about a tanning bed in a different way. I think about being behind a truck with logs a different way.
Yeah.
I think above all else, if these kills have that same effect on me, the movie will have achieved a certain degree of success.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
the tonal element is probably most important to me.
And I will say I am fully behind Dunstan and Milton here. I think
Yeah.
I think they're going to do it.
You've
I like
tipped
your
the scale in a more positive direction on them for me.
I'm trying.
too.
But I
do what I can.
also I start to remember Piranha 3 Double
I
Dare.
know, but listen.
That
Please
was so
no.
early in their career, though.
I guess.
Hey, have you ever seen Feast 2 and 3?
I have not.
Don't.
Okay.
If you didn't like Piranha 3D, don't see those.
I'm definitely not
Just
touching
making
those.
sure.
I have seen the collection movies though, and I do like those.
So
I
good.
do like those, but I'm also not a fan of the Saw stuff that they've done either. But that franchise
You're stuck in a
completely
machine with that.
That franchise completely spiraled out of control
Yeah.
for me.
I have to say, I had to revisit all the Saw films before Jigsaw, and theirs weren't the most unpleasant to
No.
watch. There was something there, which is really just the lowest bar of compliment I could get.
Yeah.
That wasn't the
But it's
worst thing
still a
I've ever.
compliment.
Yeah, exactly. No, they did have a bit of camp, actually,
Okay.
that I think will be beneficial.
Like I said when you
Encouragement
texted
all
me.
around.
Yes, thank you for talking me off the ledge.
So the big question we like to ask every single guest that comes in is, what is a recent piece of horror content, whether it be a book, a movie, a TV show, you name it, anything at all that comes to mind that you want to share with our viewership that they might not know about?
How recent do we want to
Go crazy. Whatever's on your mind.
I speak the praises of a show called Todd and the Book of Pure Evil. I don't know if that's widely known. You're both writing notes. Okay, good.
I've
This is
never-
good. You got to hear it.
no,
so
I
it just
trust your
hit
opinion.
U.S. Shudder, I think, 2 months ago. It was a Canadian show that aired years ago, and it is a mix kind of between Ash vs. Evil Dead, and because basically every episode is these kids who have to fight evil. Todd and his friends. They're total stoners. It's got that whole stoner vibe going throughout. They are goofballs, but they have to fight an evil every time, and there's Todd and the Book of Pure Evil. So the Book of Pure Evil inhabits a new student every episode, and the villain is based upon their maturity issues or something of like a bully. Like they expose why he bullies, and it becomes a I'm not going to say why because that's one of my favorite episodes. But there are also musical episodes which they absolutely crush the game. I think it's one of my favorite musical kind of comedy television episodes, going up with like Buffy and stuff like that. And it's just so much fun. So it's been a Canadian thing for a while. The U.S. hasn't had their taste yet. When it hit Shudder, like I immediately pitched like 3 articles to Bloody Disgusting and just immediately was like, yeah, I'm going to write about this a lot. We're just going to have people watch this. So I'm going to say Todd and the Book of Pure Evil. I believe it is still on Shudder in the U.S. So 2 seasons, very easy to get through, not that hard. Absolutely goofy, absolutely asinine. It's really fun.
I can't wait to watch it.
There it is, right on Shudder, so you can go and watch it.
You can go and watch it.
Yeah, and both seasons are
Right.
on here. First
Perfect.
season looks like it's got 13 episodes.
And they're only like 20-minute, 30-minute episodes. They're not pushing the content level there. There is also, so then they had to Indiegogo their final season, which they put into a cartoon that came out, I think, a year ago or 2 years ago.
The end of the end.
Yes.
Of the end.
I will admit, if you do
That's
enjoy
true.
the show a lot, you'll probably only enjoy the final little goodbye a little bit. It was a little bit of a down note, unfortunately, but I still enjoyed it. So if you do like those two, find out the end of the end. And yeah, while you're on Shudder, also Satan's Slaves. I know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
I'm
like
hoping
I've
you guys
seen
have. Okay.
I've seen you tweet about it, I think.
Dude, I've tweeted incessantly about it. I wrote like 20 slash film articles about
So
it.
do you like Satan's Slaves more than Terrifier?
Absolutely.
Really?
Wait, Terrified or
Oh, sorry,
Terrifier?
Terrified.
I was
Yeah.
like, number
Whoa,
one.
whoa,
Okay,
whoa.
but still, yes. Yeah, Terrifier, yes, it's
No.
leaps and bounds. Terrified, I think Terrified gets a little too cute with its story and it doesn't execute that well, but the scares are there. Scares are very much in your face and the window back and forth kind of thing.
So good.
Yeah. So Satan's Slaves was, I think, my second favorite movie of the year. Or something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
No. I love that movie.
Wow.
Okay.
So,
And that to the list, too.
Perry, I'm just gonna I need to text you every time I watch something
You
now.
really,
This is
I
just,
mean, you really do. I mean, the
I've
odds
been
of me
slacking.
answering are slim to none.
Of course, no, you'll never answer,
eventually
but
I catch up on them all.
yeah, like 3 years later after like it's
But
convenient.
the sad thing is, I do eventually catch up. Where I've emailed people back something like over a year later, and they're like, "Oh, you're first getting to this now." But once I see that it was still sitting there, I can't let it sit with me that I never replied. I reply to him more than in a year, like sooner than a year.
It's like half a year.
Yeah.
That's not true. That's not true at all. I observe the Slack. I'm
observe the
observing.
Slack.
I know what's going on in our little New York friend Slack at all times. I just don't contribute as often as
That's
everybody
horrifying. You're
else.
just watching us. You're literally just like
part
judging us
of
and
it.
watching from this
I've
your
been
ivory
invited.
tower.
You're like a
I've been
Slack
invited.
bot.
Yeah,
You
Slack
do
bot.
the same thing in the .com Slack. You'll be like, hey, what was that thing that came up 4 hours ago?
It's like, what, you were paying attention? Wait, what?
How do I have a reputation?
We had
for
Because
this?
this is you. This is literally what you
doing
do.
500 things at any given moment. Oh no, we can't talk about that anymore. We're gonna say goodbye to Matt now.
Aw.
But where can everybody find your wonderful writing? Because seriously, I'm not just saying this because you're sitting here, but if you like written reviews that feel like someone is saying it to you, reading it to you with all of their personality in it, those reviews are coming from this guy. Seriously, your reviews are hands down some of the most entertaining reviews to read. And
thank you.
they all come from the heart, too, from the
They do.
horror lover's heart. So that's why I highly recommend Matt's work.
Well, thank you very much, Perry. That
Of
was
course,
very
why
nice
you're
of
the
you.
poll quote king.
Oh God.
A howling good time.
That will forever be my favorite. Yes, we can have a whole episode just on my pull quotes. But yes, if you would like to find my writing, you can follow me at DonatoBomb on Twitter or Instagram. You can follow one of the many sites I write for, Bloody Disgusting, Dread Central. I'm in the new Fangoria issue. I do slash film a lot. So going down the list, just follow me on Twitter. Honestly, I pimp myself out very frequently, so it'll be hard to ignore me there.
Haley, where can everyone find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Haley Fouch, and you can find me on Instagram at Haystack McGroovy.
And I am on Twitter and Instagram at P. Nemiroff. That is it. We are done for the day. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. You have officially survived the witching hour.